My poem is called The Unknown Limit. They said I would never amount to anything. I said, oh, word? Because one of my many features is to always excel. And I know that it rhymes with fail, but I can never do that. My mindset is to never bail. But to finish what I started, I watched two of my friends fall. I will never forget the feeling I got when my friend asked the group who is next out of us all. Rest in peace, but I must take a rain check. I gotta rise like a millennial queen, because that is what America expects me not to do. I hope that the other innocent members of our nation break free, because they took us out of chains and put us in bars like that wasn't the same thing. But this is beyond me, honestly. Like Corbin Blue, I gotta push it to the limit and maybe even farther. I learned to show the better side of me and use it to make history. My mother and grandmother taught me to walk with a high head and a smart mind. That is the key to always stay above the grind. This America will never want to see me shine. Now, this might sound like a diss, but I'm going to hit you with all I got, because when it comes to my future, I never miss. It's like my life is a marathon. I'm going to run to it, pass it, the finish line. I will never forget the taste of glory I get when I cross that line. I will hop over rocks that might be the group of people who are not good for me, dodge the other runners who might be the negative thoughts replay in my head. I'm going to see the limit, go to the limit, and go beyond the limit. There's nothing too far, only too little. So go beyond the limit, but before you go, what is the limit? I have none.
My poem is called An Open Letter to Fear. Dear Fear, it's been a while since we've talked. I mean, face to face. I hear you every day, whispering horrible things to me, telling me everything on your mind, or rather everything in my mind. Things I thought I had pushed down, things I thought to be forgotten. The lies you tell me, holding me back, breaking me, searing themselves into my brain. I smile so no one can see. I am a shoulder that others can cry on, but I don't dare to ask for one. No, tears are a sign of weakness. Don't cry. So I don't cry. Some days, I don't hear from you, and I am glad. Others, your voice is deafening, and I have to find a place where I can cover my ears in private because I don't need the other kids thinking I'm weird. You've never gone too far, although I fear someday you will, and that is the irony of it all. I am afraid of you. I fear what you will tell me to do, or what you will tell me not to do. I obey your every command as though you have some strange power over me, and I kick myself because I know it is power that I have given you. I tell you that I am done being afraid, and you laugh at me. I beg you to leave me alone, but you only tighten your grip. I talk to others about it, but they only tell me to stop. Just stop being afraid, they say. But Fear, you and I both know it isn't that easy. You laugh at me, you laugh at them, and then you punish me for telling. I'm glad I finally got the courage to talk to you, because courage is something that I thought I had lost long ago. I'm so used to only having you around, but I think I can accept a new norm. A norm in which I smile because I want to, not because I feel like I have to. A norm in which you no longer exist. And maybe I am foolish for believing that I can get rid of you. And yes, I know that you will always lurk in the dark corners of my mind somewhere. But Fear, do you know what else I know? I know that you lie when you say I'm unloved. You fib when you say I will never be good enough. You're wrong when you say that I am weak. Fear, allow me to show you just how strong I really am. I'm breaking free, past what you and I both thought were possible. You were wrong to underestimate me, and I can guarantee you won't be making that mistake again.
My poem is titled The Inhalation of Endless Smoke. Everyone always says, Ashlyn, you look so much like her. You two have the same broken smile and exhausted eyes. Ashlyn, you act so much like her. You two have the same dark humor, but yet I don't want to be her. You know why? Because she chose drugs over her kids, and yet we chose her every time. She disappeared for years on end, but every time she showed back up, we welcomed her with open arms. We were the ones that loved you when you gave us 1,000 reasons not to, and Mom, I can't say you ever repaid that favor. I think our biggest mistake was making you a priority when we were always your second choice, and she would always say, I'm sorry, I have an addiction. But you aren't your addiction. Mom, you aren't your abusive boyfriends. You aren't your drinking Problem. Mom, you aren't your messed up past. You were supposed to be here and you weren't. I needed a mom too, and I used to talk to the stars about you, telling them that I still love you even though you aren't here, even when the constellations in my heart were breaking, because I deserve someone who will stay, and I understand that people go, but how they left always stays. And I went through years of my life without you, but still every performance I had, I still searched the crowd for you because that's where you were supposed to be, my mother. And every time I smelled your cigarette smoke, I always said a silent prayer before turning around, hoping it would be you, my mother. But yet years of waiting and nothing came, and it all finally makes sense now that I know the truth, that you only appear when you need something like money or booze or money to buy booze, but never ever have you shown up and needed us.
My poem is entitled A Poem for My Nephew. You can probably guess what it's about. All men are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. My nephew is someone who I do not see often, but when I do, I can say that he is the embodiment of the pursuit of happiness. This little boy has not been in this world long, but whenever I see him, I am overcome with joy. One of the first times I held his little legs on my thighs, cradled in my arm, one of the first times I held him, his little legs on my thighs, cradled in my arms, his hand fit around my pinky. And it lasted for a second because he started crying. He pooped on me. Oh my God, you laughed, thank God. Okay, I was supposed to laugh, okay, cool. He was immediately taken out of my arms, but his aroma was very well present. Do you laugh again? That's a joke. Okay. The first time I saw him, I knew for a fact that I needed to become a writer. I knew for a fact that I needed to become a writer. He reminded me of one of my favorite books, Charlotte's Web. I turned to my mom and I said, he's remarkable. Remarkable. He was a little baby, a little curly-haired caramel baby, and he was one of the most remarkable things I had ever seen. I was told that my stories have no value, that no one wants to hear my voice. I told myself that my words meant nothing for the longest time. I swallowed every single word that had the urge to come out. This is not true. And though I am trying to work on my words and my stories, one thing is for sure. If I am not telling my story, then I will definitely write his. I will write for him when he goes to his first day of school with his arms around his father's legs, crying that he doesn't want to leave. I will write when he reads his first book and he falls in love, how someone can so easily manipulate words on paper like a snake charmer and make them move in any way he wants them to. I will write when someone knocks him down. I will write when he experiences his first love. I will hold him and write when he experiences his first heartbreak. I will write when he realizes that not all the superheroes in the books and movies look like him. I will write for him so he will know that he can be his own superhero, and whenever he cannot get back up, that he has a family of others to step in. I cannot be there every step of the way, and I do not see him often, but I will write. I will write for him. I will write because for the longest time, I wish someone would write for me, because words go a long way. So don't be surprised when a remarkable man comes to save the day by being himself, because he is remarkable, and he pooped on me, and he has curly hair, and he is my definition of the pursuit of happiness. Writing makes me happy, and he is the reason I will never stop.
My poem is called The Cycle. We must die to be reborn in this cycle. We need to come back alive after a deadly breakup. Yet we go back again, where I love you and you leave. Or vice versa, you love me and I leave. We go back to pointless arguments about faded people in the past, like who's your last? I want you and you hammer me into pieces. I feel so dead and have the desperate need for relief. We're so quiet in this cycle, and the silence is the loudest. I know you feel powerless, so leave while you can, but don't go and come back. This cycle is such a disaster. You cut me open and laugh at me bleeding as I'm weeping. Let's just destroy this cycle and both agree, and both leave and agree to make peace.
My poem is titled The Black Woman. We are the most unloved creatures, yet people mimic our features. They claim to have an understanding of us. With pinkies crossed behind their back, they swear they're not racist. But just because you know a handful of people with our faces doesn't mean you can get back into our graces so easily. They were never with us, but their lust to be like us is messed up, turning our existence of being black into another act, lacking the intellect to actually get to know us, wearing our braids like we haven't already had them for decades. They place these explicit limits on us, like they placed the shackles on our ancestors. Yet these shackles are not chains. They are cackles of those who laugh at us. But luckily, those shackles aren't too tight, because we still take flight. We are doctors, lawyers, poets, and most of all, we are strong. Your limits do not inhibit us. Our hair doesn't just stand, but defies all of your land. Our skin is magical, absorbing the rays of the sun. We are becoming fond of ourselves again and going above and beyond.
My poem is called Hunter and Hunted. Our whole lives we were taught conformity of society's thoughts, not by sweet mother, but by screen, paper, and magazine, then till now. These days it's hunter and hunted. And my God, how different you feel shifting from normal to hunted. The first time it happened, I didn't feel hunted. And if I was, the hunter didn't have to travel very far to find the white bunny. She was pure and innocent. That is, until the night her world was shook by tornadoes, her innocence broken and gone with shards of glass from the window. She froze. Paralyzed as button and buttonhole departed, the poor bunny died because faceless hunter pulled the trigger. I had to live with my trigger, and he wasn't faceless, but drunk. Somehow you can know someone and still be complete strangers. Were my shorts too short? Why me? I was a child within preschooler age. This is victim blaming. Most victims self-blame, get PTSD, depression, anxiety, but I promise you're not alone. Same person, another day, maybe 2 years later, I was touched. The memory so vivid, I again froze. He told me not to tell anyone. I sat on the floor of my bedroom and cried. Now even celebrities tell their stories. Ellen, Lucy Hale, Blair Sinclair, Lady Gaga, the list goes on. So when I became a teen, guys flirted and tried to touch me. I finally got my voice. I told counselors, wrote statements, called hotlines. With each word, I was shaking, heart racing, wondering if you would hurt and find me. People, including Trump, call us liars. Am I making senators look bad? I'm telling my truth. You ask for the proof? My proof is that I sit here in this body listening to your catcalls. Here you replace the word human with thing. I'm not a thing, but something, a victim. My silence isn't consent. I'm a survivor, a woman standing with fellow survivors of all gender and ethnicity. We believe the truth. We believe you.
This one's called The Life of My Best Friend. He was amazing, talented, and smart. He was energetic and sweet. He was good at singing and at art. He was always organized and neat. All his teachers loved him. He was everyone's favorite student. With him around, you couldn't be grim. He always offered amusement. He was happy every day. He was always good and done. Until every night he gets beat up, we say, until one night he pulled the trigger of the gun. He was dead before we found him, lost and insecure, broken and dead. Now everyone is grim, him ending the life he had led. Killing himself was wrong, hurting others is easy for some. Ending his life, which could have been long, and to heaven he will come.
So I'm bold, I'm wild, crazy, silly, funny. I am me. Please don't limit me to one word because I'm not one thing. My life is on an upswing, happiness is what I bring. You throw me a limit like a baseball, you know I will swing because I'm beyond that. They tell me my limit is high school, but I want to go to college because God knows that I need my knowledge. They say, save one person at a time. I'm going beyond that, and I'm starting a whole movement. Limits don't stop me from saving people like me from the pain that makes them eternally bleed. I don't put limit in there in my vocabulary because it plants a seed of trouble, a seed of doubt that makes me freeze at the sight of a great opportunity. This world, people think that limit is where it ends me. I'm going to repeat. I'm going beyond that. Don't believe me? Wait and see.